Hey guys, Pete here. This is my top moments of Twin Peaks Season 3, Part 8. If you haven't watched Part 8 yet, this is your spoiler warning. Go back and watch some of my other videos for one of the episodes you've seen because this will definitely spoil it for you. Alright, so this was an amazing episode for me personally. I can see that some people might not have enjoyed what happened in the last 40 minutes, but I think on the initial watch I came away with the idea that we actually learned a lot. But I'm not going to get into any of that really here because I want to go back and look at things a little more closely, so I'm just going to talk about the top moments as they were for me. The first one was Evil Coop getting shot. I did not see this coming. I figured that Ray would give up the information and that would be that, but he double-crossed him, tricked him, and shot him. Now, like most people, I'd never really thought that Evil Cooper would die right there, but I have to admit that I did not envision what happened in the next moment, which was the guys who were painted black swarming the scene. The way this was delivered was awesome, how they were sort of in the flickering light, and I pretty much felt like Ray did watching it all go down. The next big moment was that Ray actually called Philip Jeffries on the road. We saw that Evil Coop had set things up so that they were free to travel. We know he's headed to some place called the farm, and apparently he is still working with Jeffries because he's got him on speed dial. The next big moment required a trip back in time, and the nuclear explosion is what I'm talking about. This was probably one of my favorite things that I've ever saw on television. The entirety of the music and the visuals, this sort of visual ride we took when we entered the mushroom cloud through space and time. Then we saw the giant at home, and we met his roommate. Now, this is something that's going to take a lot more of an investment of time to describe this scene properly. But we see him, he gets alerted by the bell thing that's in one of the rooms, and then he goes upstairs, watches on a screen what's going on, which is this nuclear explosion. He witnesses the next big moment that we had witnessed prior, which was what looks like Bob's origin scene. Now, I'm not sure if this is when Bob was created or if this is when Bob was unleashed into the world. We'll talk about that in another video. But for now, it was pretty visually interesting, and we could tell by the look on the giant's face that it was also very important to the balance of everything inside this universe. The next big moment was when the giant started to float. We saw some golden light come out of him, and then we saw the birth of this golden orb. As it comes down to his roommate who's there on the floor, I'm calling her roommate right now because what else do we know about her? She peers into the orb, and we see Laura Palmer's face. So what happened here? Well, it looks like this couple of people, the giant and his friend, had given birth to Laura Palmer in response to Bob entering into the world. She uses this device that they have and sends it off into the world, and that's all I'm really going to say about that right now. Another big moment was obviously during that explosion we saw a convenience store, which is definitely something that's important inside this mythology. If you remember, Philip Jeffries told Gordon that he attended one of their meetings that was held above the convenience store. And here again we see a ton of these guys with the faces that are painted black, sort of swarming around this convenience store. My initial guess when watching was that this is the same thing. They were unleashed into the world because of this nuclear explosion. That's what it kind of looks like visually to me anyways. I don't think that this explosion will be the genesis of everything that happens, the genesis of the lodges necessarily, because obviously the giant was already there. But it is interesting to be able to connect these figures to the ones that we've seen show up in South Dakota. The next big moment was meeting the Woodsman. At least that's what he's credited as in the credits, and we've seen that name before. This was what a lot of people thought the guy in the jail cell was the Woodsman from above the convenience store. So we see how that all ties in together. He delivered one of the best lines of this season so far when he goes around holding a cigarette and asks everyone, "Got a light? Got a light?" No one seems to be able to produce one, although it's not clear if they're just like in some kind of a spell by just seeing him or whatever, but he does go the entirety of the episode without ever getting his cigarette lit. The next big moment for me was the tension that I felt when these two kids are walking around, trying to figure out who they might be and expecting one of them to say the other person's name so we could get a hint. I mean, I was totally like, well, it can't be Leland, it can't be Sarah, they're not from that area, going through all these different checklists in my head of who these people could be. And of course, we get a really tender moment between them when they have their first kiss, but we don't have any idea who they are based on what we saw. The next big moment was at the radio station where the Woodsman came in, killed the receptionist by touching her head for an extended period of time, and then takes over the job of disc jockey and starts broadcasting what I guess you would call a poem. He repeats over and over that this is the water and this is the well. Drink full and descend. The horse is the white of the eyes and dark within. So the next thing that starts to happen is we see all these people in the town, in broadcasting range, I guess, who are listening to the radio, start falling asleep. This includes the young girl that we saw get the goodnight kiss. And this leads to our next big moment, which is this creature that had hatched from the egg that sort of looks like a cross between, I don't know, a frog, a rabbit, and a bug, something like that. Travels to her house and crawls into her mouth. So those were my top moments. What were yours? I want to know. Please leave them in the comments. I will be starting my scene-by-scene breakdown, recap, and review after this. Like I said, my initial reaction to this is that they gave us a lot of answers, but there's some details that you really need to take a closer look at, I suppose. I mean, I'm not saying that I have the answers to everything that's going on or anything like that, but I think as far out as this episode seemed, there was a good bit of storytelling there, and that was my initial reaction. So tell me what you think. I think this will probably be an episode that people will love, but it may also be the episode that drives some people completely away. I mean, I think the visuals were just amazing. I think the sound and the songs, everything, all the music was perfect. There was a ton of tension throughout the scenes with the giant and, I don't know, we'll call her mother, the giant and the mother. There was tons of tension in the scenes with the kids as he's walking her home. I don't know, I was just basically on the edge of my seat the entire time, but I'm interested to see what you guys think as well. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, join the conversation in the comments, be sure to subscribe to my channel because now that we have a 2-week break until the next episode, I'm definitely going to try to catch up on some theory videos and different things as soon as I do the recap and review, which will be followed by the 10 things you might have missed. Alright, thanks for watching, I'll talk to you soon.